As Juliet Capulet once said, my only love sprung from my only hate, too early seen unknown and known too late. Prodigious birth of love it is to me that I must love a loathed enemy. Everyone, welcome back to another booktastic / High Republic-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And I'm Grace.
And we are back with a book review, Phase 2 of the High Republic. We've done all the adult novels for Phase 1 and 3 so far, but we need content, and so we're going to do Phase 2, and we know Grace likes these ones, and so we're like, all right, we can do these. So, Convergence by Zoraida Cordova, however you say the name. Sorry if you're listening. But yes, so we are here with the book review. But we keep forgetting to say this. We've only said it like once on air. But Drew and I are going to Twin Cities Con November 9th, the Saturday.
Like 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks. So if you're in or near Minnesota, come that weekend and hang out with us if you see us. We want Grace to come. She's like a quick 30-minute flight in Chicago. Like she could definitely come up for the
Too
weekend.
bad I don't have buddy passes. I could just get her over here for nothing.
Oh,
wow!
If you want to come up, we'll host you. We'll like show you the ropes. We'll show you where not to go so you don't get.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
But
I appreciate it.
You definitely need to someday come up here and give us a visit because we'd love to hang out with you. So
I agree. I really need to. It's crazy. I have flown through that airport like so many times because I always fly on Delta and like that's the Delta hub. So I've gone on a million connections, but I've never gone outside. So I've never gone to Minneapolis or St. Paul. So I definitely need to at some point.
Do you agree that because every year it's always they put best airports in the United States and St. Paul, Minneapolis gets number 1 every year?
Wow, really?
Do you like the airport or no?
I think it's okay. Yeah. Best airport? Like, I don't know.
Every year after year.
Most organized, least crowded, and best options for food.
There are some good food options. I definitely agree with that. I feel like I once had to sleep over there, and there was like all meals that you could want available at the airport. Yeah.
I just wish they had a Chipotle.
They don't have a Chipotle there?
No, they have like some like
Qdoba or something.
Yeah.
It's not even Qdoba anymore. They used to have Qdoba, but they don't have Qdoba anymore. It's like some other Mexican place, and it's really expensive.
Well, it's airport, like.
Oh, I totally know what you're talking about. I've been there. Yeah.
With the M.
Yeah.
And it was. I like got a burrito from there the other day. It was like $18.
Oh,
what?
So like,
oh my gosh!
You don't get a discount
with my discount.
What?
Yeah, I was like, no way. I'll go to Shake Shack and spend $13 on fries and a burger.
Bro, I would just
make my own burrito.
I go to a vending machine and get a candy bar and a bottle of water or something. But yes, Twin Cities Con, please come. I'm really excited to meet Timothy Zahn, the author of all.
You haven't met him yet.
I haven't yet.
I've met him a few times now.
And I want to meet Mark Thompson, who does the narration for a lot of these books. He did this book. Crazy. He's super cool.
I want to meet him. And
do we ever get confirmation on how much it's going to cost to meet Hayden Christensen?
No, but I don't think Ian McDiarmid's going anymore.
No, he's still there. I just saw something the other day, I thought.
I know, I did too, but then they released posters today, and he wasn't on the poster of like meet the Star Wars characters.
I think he's still there.
Yeah, I hope so.
But if a bunch of you show up, maybe we can split the cost having a group photo with Hayden Christensen, so it'd be a lot cheaper.
And Ian McDiarmid, because I think they're together doing photo ops.
Even better. I'd love to. So
yeah, like he's not on any of the new marketing that they released 8 hours ago.
Well, you have to go on their website to see if he's still on the website. But we're not here for that. We'll check later.
The whole cast of The Boys Meets World is there, you guys. So you got to come out to.
Grace does not know anything about Boy Meets World.
What?
That's before she was even born.
Yeah, but it still holds up. Me and Steph
What-
binged it the other day.
What is it?
So it's a
What
like
is
a it's like a sitcom from the 90s. So it was like
Hmm.
a kid was a star, and
Mhm.
it's just him growing up and just kid drama, teenage drama, school drama, family drama type stuff. And it was
There's
just
some solid episodes.
it was really great,
Mm.
super funny. And then years later, they made Girl Meets World, which was his
Hmm.
daughter in the show, and it's all the same cast too, but as adults.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I watched it. I
Really?
really like Girl Meets World. There was one episode I was ugly crying. It was so
Dude,
good.
there was one episode
Oh.
of Boys Meet World and me and Steph were like bawling. Like
Yeah.
it's really good. I think you like it, Grace. It's
Grace,
really
Okay.
super wholesome. Like
Yeah.
nothing.
but it's 90s, so you gotta like get over like the
It looking
camera
bad.
lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mr. McFeeny,
He's the best.
he's like the
goat.
principal of the school, but also their neighbor. He's
Hmm.
like
The most wise person. of all
wise
time.
grandpa, cool guy ever.
like the kid hates him and is scared of him, but like throughout the show you realize that he like starts to really respect him, and then like
Hmm.
he's so knowledgeable and he helps the parents out. Even he like lectures his dad and stuff sometimes, and it's like
Hmm.
I don't know. It's a
But
good
yes,
show.
the whole cast of them are going to be at.
They are. And the Flash is going to be there on Sunday if you guys go Sunday.
The
If you guys
Flash.
care about that.
Which Flash? There's like 20 of them.
The one that's from the CW show.
Huh?
The only Flash that matters because the
I
other
see.
one is canceled.
Yeah.
All right, book review time. All right, so like I said, we've done phases 2 and 3, which takes place 200 years before episode 1 in the Star Wars timeline. But phase 2, of course, Star Wars, classic Star Wars, everything's out of order, and you have to like figure out the timeline. Phase 2 takes place 150 years before phases 1 and 3.
Hmm.
So we're 350 years before episode 1. And so it's interesting kind of seeing, if there's going to be any differences between the Jedi and the Republic and what's going on and stuff. So super excited to look into that. And it's only because Grace wanted us to just like, she was like, you guys got to read them. They're really good. And all right, we'll trust you. So we took the first book. So who wants to give their overall thoughts of this book first?
You, Jeremiah, you do.
Yeah, I
Me?
think you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
curious. I feel like you have said nothing thus far, and that implies to me that you absolutely hated the entire reading experience, and you're looking forward to completely blaming it on me for recommending these books.
So okay, so like there's like that in Greek mythology, I think it is like there's a story of like the guy rolling the ball up the hill and he gets to the top
Sisyphus, yeah.
and then it rolls back down
Yes.
type of thing. I feel like this is what that book was, and so there's like so many things going on. They're like building. Okay, oh cool, this character. Oh, this storyline. They build it up, and then they don't really do anything with it. And now I understand there's 2 books to this story, and so the story continues. But it's like it felt like this book was like an additional like 150 pages long, and they told the writer it's just too long. You got to cut stuff out. And cut out a bunch of stuff and like glossed over things. Like there's just stuff like that girl Serena or whatever.
Yeah.
Like she just dies, and like it's like in a passing comment that she dies.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh? And there's just so many moments where like I don't even like realize something is important until it comes up later in the thing, and I'm like, why is this happening? Oh, because like I write notes as I read.
Yeah.
And it's like I was going over my notes today to like get some talking points ready, and I'm like, wait, why did this happen again? I don't know, because like I didn't write down all these notes that I normally would, because I didn't think these things that were happening were important. They're just stuff that were happening in passing. And so like I thought that a lot of the characters were just very one-dimensional. Like the only character Ziri, she was like had the most page time. I don't know what you want to like say it like she was like the main character, and like all these other characters were just kind of like there and not like Fawn too is like the most pointless character in the whole book. Like he doesn't do anything. He literally does. He's just there. He's like, we're gonna get married. And he's like, basically, okay. And he's like, I'll just do whatever Ziri wants. Like, and I'm gonna agree with her. Like, I understand that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to agree with your woman, but like, I don't know. He was just there. Like, I just felt like nothing really happened in this book that there was no good payoff. Like, everything just kind of happened and fizzled out for me. So who wants to go next? Grace, do you want to defend the book, or Drew, do you want to criticize the book? I feel like
No, Drew should go next, and then I can like understand more.
It was the hardest book I've ever read in my life. Like,
oh dang!
I don't know why. We've been striking out. Like for me, like the last one, I didn't really like it too much. I thought it was like there's parts of it I liked it, but I just felt like empty with the ending, and like the last book too, like with the whole relationship. Like we were supposed to care about it, but then we didn't really. And I feel like this book, like I was so confused. Like half of them, like what are we doing? Like. Where are we? Like, I felt like it just jumped in, and then like you're supposed to know the timeline and all this stuff. I'm like, is this the exact same? Like, I didn't realize that it was before the other ones we've already read. And like, I don't know if I like because I just listened to this one, which might be another reason why it was kind of hard for me to get through because I wasn't actually like because typically I'll listen and read along with the book, so like I'm always like keeping track of what's going on and like I'm fully engaged.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's one of the things too, but like I just felt like they just threw us there. Like we were just in this universe, but we had no idea content of like when it was. So I was like super confused. And then to your point, Jeremiah, like I felt like the end of the book, I'm like, wait, what? That was like all we got? Like what? And yeah, I guess there's another one, but I don't think it's written by the same person. So it probably has a totally different feel.
Yeah,
book.
it does.
And like, I literally had to watch a breakdown of this book again.
Oh no!
Because I felt like I was like lost. Because I was so like, what did I miss in my 8-hour listen? Like, what is happening? And then the breakdown's like, it's a good High Republic book because there's not a lot of characters to follow.
Yeah.
And it's a good starting point. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't feel like you're listening to
you're not getting a lot of character development, so it's like
yeah, but it also didn't feel like you're in the High Republic. It just felt like you're just part of the outer rim of the. I don't know. Like
now, you did notice that the one planet Iram is where Starlight Beacon was when it crashed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's the added like context connection to the other books. But like, crap, I was gonna say something. Well, so the one thing though that I do like, but like it's also a negative also, but like, in phase 1 and 3, like we see what I would say is the start of the Jedi marrying themselves to the Senate and being political. And like, but in this one, they're completely disconnected. Like the best way to show that is the Republic ship and the Jedi ship arrive at the same time, and they didn't even know they were coming. Like they're so independent from each other that they were going to the same spot for relief. So it's like I like that. Okay, cool. They're super separate from each other. This is like how I think the Jedi should be, completely divorced from the Senate and politics. There wasn't like any like enemy per se, and so it's like okay, the Jedi here.
The Jedi was straight up neutral.
They were neutral. Parties. They were just there to help where they can. And I'm like, okay, this is how the Jedi are supposed to be. Like, so it's all right. It's cool. Let's see how the Jedi interact. Like, it's sure this is a war between these two planets, but I started getting kind of bored with it because the Jedi weren't fighting an enemy. but like I'm like, it's Star Wars, not Star Peace. Like we're supposed to have like conflict.
Yeah,
type of
well,
thing.
that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, were we supposed to care about this war? I'm being real. Like, I didn't care at all. I was like, okay, these guys are fighting. Like,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it was, yeah, I don't know. Grace, help us out.
Grace, help us out. We want you to help
Yeah.
us make this book
I want to
better
know
for us.
why it's good.
I see a lot of your guys' points, right? I actually think that one of the reasons I like this book and that the reasons I would recommend it to somebody who wants to get into the High Republic is that it doesn't feel super connected to the rest of the High Republic. I think that generally phase 2 does have like a really interesting overall backstory that lets you know like the origins of the Nihil and like why Marchion Ro is after the Jedi and all of that, but that's not happening in this book. And like,
Yeah,
or
when
it's
does
like,
that happen? I want to read that one.
Those are in the
Yeah.
other books that we don't
Yeah.
have in our schedule.
Oh,
yeah, they're in the other
whatever.
books that you guys aren't reading,
The
right?
good
Like-
stories are the other ones that we're not doing. So
Like this definitely feels like more of a contained narrative set in a different era of the High Republic with some characters that are interesting but maybe not fully developed. Like I take all of your points, and then it has like, you know, some hints of what the larger plot at hand might be. I guess the reason I like it though is that I feel like because there are only 4 main characters and it's kind of like 4 young people figuring out their place in the world, unlike the other High Republic books where we're just jumping from all of these characters and we're following them
Yeah.
across so many books. I did feel like I was able to get like somewhat invested in what they were doing.
Well,
Like I liked their dynamic and I liked the potential of it. I agree with you though that it's like maybe not fully paid off. Like I would have liked to see a little bit more time with them, like all traveling together, or like another scene where they all like fight up, team up and fight. Like I again, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. I think even coming back to it, like rereading it this time in preparation for this podcast, I was just struck by how much I like the 4 characters together, and I like the general like idea that we have to children who are trying to bring peace to their worlds and they're like the children of royalty. I like the idea of having a Jedi and somebody from Coruscant and having everyone meet up on the Outer Rim. It kind of reminds me of the original trilogy, maybe. I'm not really sure. Like kind of like a Leia, Han, and Luke sort of vibe. So I think that's why I'm drawn to the story. I think you guys are right that at the plot level, there is definitely some stuff that could be more clear. And even the third time reading it, I was like, what? I don't understand the motivations of this character.
Because like one, like I thought, you know, there's this, you know, the path. What is the path of the open hand? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the first chapter is Serena sabotaging whatever. Like, okay, this is gonna be whatever she's doing is gonna be the main antagonist, the main like villain type thing that's gonna go on, and like, you know, they start doing that when the Jedi arrive and they're investigating on the moon and they find the blocker, the whatever it is called, and like, okay, like they're gonna like, you know, the Jedi are gonna investigate this. That's gonna be like a two story thing. It's gonna be the Jedi investigating whatever they're doing, and then the war conflict and how those stories are gonna come together. But you barely get anything from that storyline. Like it's just every like 5 or 6 chapters, I feel like they just mention it, and the Abda girl. Then you know you get a little story of like the mother and stuff like that. And, like you don't really get much to it. And then like I felt like the Farrell family, like the Viceroy Farrell and then Rev Farrell, like that stuff like happened so late for me. Like in the story, like yeah, it's like the first third of the book. You know, Viceroy Farrell has that guy kill himself, like throwing himself out into space. But like, it was just like barely there. So it's like not something that was like a constant threat, a constant struggle, a constant conflict that they were dealing with and trying to figure out. It was just kind of there quick, and I didn't really understand the point of the body out in space when they find the body and then that's it. Like they're like, what happened? They just kind of, oh, we found a body.
Well, I think it's supposed to be that like he committed suicide.
But like I thought, like,
But like, so like,
but I thought it was like supposed to be some like, oh, a person of Arenal was killed. It had to have been someone from Iram. Now let's beef up the conflict and go to war again, type of thing. I thought that was what it was supposed to be.
I thought it was. I forget what the name of the guy is. The person that's friends with Ziri, the other guy with the eye patch.
Sargaro.
Yeah, exactly. He gets killed, and then they're implying that it's like the guy who pushes himself out into space is like the one that was behind the murder.
Oh, that's
when in reality it was the Ferals or whatever.
Like, did they say that though? That they thought the one guy killed the other guy and then killed himself? Really?
Yeah.
I feel like that's an example of something like they just.
I missed that completely.
They just glossed over. Like they didn't make it a point to like discuss. Like not even like multiple pages of them. Like why would he do this? Like what happened? Like.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You know what I think it is now that you're describing all of this? I kind of feel like this book is the Phantom Menace of Phase 2. It's like a self-contained story where there's like this looming threat on the horizon, but it's only in the shadows and we don't really get into it. And instead the story is just focused on this like smaller regional conflict. That's how I would describe the book. And I can see why it would be a little bit unsatisfying because honestly, the Phantom Menace is sometimes unsatisfying for me.
Oh, Drew would disagree. Remember last blind ranking number 2, we had a discussion and Drew said that he likes episode 3 or episode 1 more than episode 3, and the rest of us all we were all like, oh, no way. But if you haven't watched blind ranking number 2 with the 4 of us, go check that out. It was a lot of fun.
It was.
I don't know if that's because of also fun. Like I just really enjoyed Maul, the Anakin, the pod racing thing, and then like I remember that was like the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters. So like there's nostalgia for me, and I remember the advertisement for it. I remember when someone at our church saw it and they were telling my parents and my dad not to go and not to take us because they thought it was awful. I remember being in my dad's office. I don't remember who it was.
I remember Jason, was it?
No, it was. Oh. I don't know. The guy at the same time was like bragging because he had a laptop, and it was like one of the first people that
1999. If you had a laptop, you're fancy.
It was a big deal back then. Yeah.
But anyway, we're not talking about that. But yeah, so I don't know. I can tell that it's pointing to other things, and I know that like based on what Grace said about other Phase 2 stuff, like there's a lot of Nihil stuff, which this is connected to because the Gaze Electric is being built.
Oh yeah.
So it's like this is connected to it somehow, but I know there's only 2 books in this story
at all,
and it's like, what are we going to get to? So I don't know. So might as well go over some more specifics of the plot of the story. So Iram and Arano are 2 planets that go around one moon or something like that, whatever, there's a moon there. And they're just in war with each other for a long time, but the specific conflict is 5 years long. And this is a little tidbit thing, like nitpick thing, but I hate how they would say multiple times, for half a decade we've been in this war. Wait, just say 5 years. Like, whatever. So that was just annoying me a couple of times. But like they're just in conflict.
That would annoy you.
Yeah, it's just faster to say 5 years than half a decade. Like,
it sounds more dramatic to say half a decade. Half a decade.
I do want to say though, the voice, like the audio version compared to the last book we listened to, is so much better. Like
I agree.
I enjoyed this so much more
What do you mean?
because the last book was like a different. Was that female voice actor?
Oh, for
For,
Rise of the Red Blade was
yeah,
Oh.
she was
Was it-
female.
like she did fine, but coming back to
Mark Thompson, who's the
Monica,
goat. Like,
yeah, it was so refreshing.
dude, I went on Audible like to look at the reviews, and I like going to like 1-star reviews on anything I go by just to see what people say. And like, people were hating on Mark Thompson, saying he's terrible. I'm
Really?
Like,
What?
I'm
He's
so impressed.
Good.
Yeah,
He can like vary his voice so like to do
so-
all 4 characters like so distinctively. It's crazy.
Well, and then like even when he does Alien, like he'll do it, and it sounds like
Yeah.
that alien species
And, like,
that we've heard before.
there's like at the end with like the bounty hunters that show up, like there's a Lerman who has a
Yeah.
Scottish accent, and you hear him do a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
It's like spot on. Like,
whoever that person, they don't deserve. Though that's why reviews don't work. It's 'cause people like that who write. reviews
but it's like a
that.
4.4 out of 5 on this book on Audible anyway, so most people like it. But anyway, so there's this war going on for half a decade, and it's at the point where they've negotiated a ceasefire, and it's been like 2 days or something like that. And at this point, the Republic shows up and the Jedi show up, not knowing that the other one's going there. They hit each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how they exit hyperspace at the same time and hit each other or whatever.
Well,
but
the hyperspace lanes weren't as developed as they are now.
that too. But they also didn't know there was going to be a ship, which I guess if you just exit and you're sitting there, the next one comes, it's going to hit it.
Yeah, it's like going down a water slide. Like you got to get off and move because if not,
Yeah.
you're gonna get hit and lose a tooth like me. So be careful.
Because I think because the Republic showed up, because I know the Jedi showed up to give relief to Iram, like medical supplies and stuff like that.
Mhm.
What was the reason for the Republic showing up? Was it
I
just
think the Chancellor Malo was just coming to try to help like broker a lasting peace.
Yeah, so they're both there.
Peace treaty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they're both there. But while they show up, like at the same time, Arano, they're using their starships, their like military fleet of starships, quick go up to like get some cargo that's going to be dropped off by another party.
Yeah, some ice because they're in a drought, so they need water.
Oh, yeah. So Arano is like a desert planet, and Iram is like a water planet. So they're completely opposites. And so they're just kind of waiting to get their ice for the water, but like it's being delayed or late. And then Iram's like, "You're not supposed to be up here. We have a ceasefire." You're like, "No, we're still in our space." Blah blah blah. So it's just like this tension, and then the big thing that happens is one of the Arano starships, which was gifted to them, has like a younger pilot in it, and the starship malfunctions. It starts doing its own thing, and then
It's like the autopilot turns on.
basically, and it goes in towards Iram, and Iram sees this as a threat, and they're about to go back to war, and the Jedi are there like, "No, stop, don't do it." And the Blitz is the pilot, and he's like, "I'm not doing it. The ship's out of control," and like no one's believing what's going on, and so they're about to like, and they're also trying to retrieve this cargo that's also like being steered off towards Iram instead because of like the 2 ships are there that showed up that weren't supposed to be there, and so it's just
No one knows how to drive.
wrong place at the wrong time. Like every crap just hit the fan all at one time, and the war's about to start up again. So then, but the Jedi are there, and so the main Jedi that we are introduced to is Gela Nattai, who is the picture on the cover. Which, like, why did they have her as the cover art? I don't know why. Should have been like Ziri should have been the one.
I disagree with you that Ziri's the main character. I think there's no main character. It's equally split between the 4 of them.
I think that's the problem.
Maybe, but like I feel like she's the one that's like leading them. Like she's kind of leading the charge. Like I said, Fontu doesn't do anything. He just follows her.
I love Fontu, but
really
okay.
worthless. But like whatever. So I don't know. But like, why her though? Like even if like it was
She has
evenly-
dual blades, so it's cool.
I guess 2 purple lightsabers. So
Yeah.
people are gonna read the book because of the cover, I guess.
Yeah.
But did you see the next cover though for the next book?
No, I don't even.
So it's Fawn 2 with a
No,
purple
it's Axel. It's Axel.
No, it's not. The Asian guy.
Yeah, it is. The Asian guy is Axel.
No, it's not. The Asian guy is.
I promise you, it's him.
I think it is.
But if I went to Wikipedia and looked at Fawn 2, and it's that same picture. Because Fawn 2 is Asian, and the concept
No.
art for Axel Greylark is
Grace, look it up.
way different.
What's the name of the next book we're reading? I don't even have it.
It's another one with a C, I think.
No.
Because Fawn 2 Zen is like an Asian sounding name. I don't want to like be presumptuous, but like.
No. I almost believed you for a second, but I'm quite positive because I love Axel and I love how he looks in this image. I'm definitely right about this.
What's the name of the next book we're reading?
It starts with a C. I don't know.
Just Google the characters. I mean, it comes up immediately.
Oh. Okay. Well, because it's weird because when you type in Fawn 2 Zen into Google, his picture shows up next to the Wikipedia article. But I guess when you look at the concept art of Axel Greylark, it looks like. Okay, well, this whole time I thought Fawn 2 was an Asian guy.
No. Wah, wah, wah.
I think Fontu is described in the book as having like kind of like darkish skin because of like the sun and like the I don't know whatever water planet.
Well, that changes how because I was like I saw the book cover. I'm like, okay, well I know Fawn 2 lives, but why is he having a saber?
I also have my High Republic character encyclopedia, so we could
That's
just
They have that?
yes.
How many
Of course
pages
they
is that? Like, is it long?
It's like a dictionary.
Holy smokes!
I'm a proud owner of them.
Wow.
It's 200 pages. So
Wow,
let's see here.
that's kind of cool.
This
That
is
is
really
cool. I didn't know they made that.
Interesting.
It's kind of sad they have to make that so you actually know what the characters are.
Yeah,
But-
it's so confusing. I can't even figure out how to operate it. Okay, Axel Greylark, page 170.
Interesting.
Then we'll look up font too.
I definitely have to buy the next book so that I can focus on it more. When are we
Here's
doing that
young Greylark for anyone interested.
one? Ooh, I like that outfit.
I like that outfit too. All right, whoops.
That would have
This
been
is
in my
fun
top 5
podcasting.
outfits.
Everyone's excited to hear me go through the book. 169.
Wah, wah, wah.
So, okay, what is Fawn 2? Do they have a picture of Fawn 2 then, or no?
Yeah, I'll look. Yeah.
Do they have a
Of
picture
course
for
Oh,
everyone?
there's no picture of font too.
Of course
Right
there
here.
isn't.
That goes to show how pointless
No
the character is.
No
because there's
picture of Ziri either.
What?
Yeah, it's because Axel and Gela are the main characters, but I didn't want to say that. I'll settle for all 4 of them being the main characters.
Oh gosh, that's
So this is 100 years before. our
150
current-
years. 150 years before Phase 1 and 2. So, okay, that kind of.
What bothers me about the High Republic in general is like, why wouldn't they just come out with this first and then like
Because
the order, like
the other
why?
story-
Think of it.
The other story, because
Exactly.
Phase 1 and 3 story is more interesting than this story.
So the,
No.
I mean, yes,
They pull you in with a great story, and then they want to give you a background story of all
filler.
these characters.
They want to. It's just like they
It-
spend so much money on like the development of this like program, and they like why?
This is the mother. You can get excited about that.
It's a
Interesting.
cool outfit too.
But anyway, back to the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this Blitz guy's ship's going crazy. The war's about to pop up again, And so the main Jedi, Gela Natai, she just runs and jumps in a ship to go help. She doesn't know what she didn't like. The other Jedi, like the main masters, there are like not even like reacting really. They're like, oh, this is gonna suck. And Gela's like, no, I'm a Jedi. I'm gonna go out there. And it even says like she's a terrible pilot, but she has the Force, and so like she has the confidence that she needs to go out there. And so like she goes out there, like, what's going on? And he's like figuring out, I'm not trying to do this. This is doing it itself. And like they're just trying to figure out what to do. Like shut it down, and it won't shut down. It won't shut down. And then he takes out his knife and like stabs the council and like fries it, and it turns off or whatever. And like it turns back on again. And like, oh no! So then like they're like Ziri, and so Ziri is the princess of Arano. We find that out, and so she's like leading the charge. She's like the main like one of the main like generals, or she's captain. Captain.
Yeah.
But she's like one of the main people. So her and Gela like try to like catch the other ship to like stop it, but it doesn't really. They stop them, but then like the ship turns back on again, starts going in, and then it explodes, which is sad. And so that's like the main conflict that kind of like opens up the first few chapters. And so it's like, oh crap, like there's this big war going on, big conflict, and then this happens, and it's like they said that ship was supposed to go to Ziri, and she's like, no, I like this ship I've been using for all these years. You can give it to the new guy. And he ends up dying. So like then it's like, okay, someone sabotaged the ship for her. Like they're trying to kill her. Like I thought, okay, this is gonna be
which would be a super cool concept.
Yeah, like a conspiracy to like keep this war going on for whatever reason. Like a third party has interest in like this war for some reason. Like what's that for, type of thing. I thought that's what it's going to be, but anyway,
they could also made it like so different too by doing that. Like they could have made it so that this like either bounty hunter or like there's a reason why like the Republic wants the war to go on. Like there's sabotage and like I don't know. They could have done so much with that.
Yeah. But while because Ziri went to go help like pinch the other ship, like she's damaged in it, and with the explosion it damages anymore. So she crashes with Blitz's ship into enemy territory on the planet of Iram. And so this is how we then get introduced to the Iram side of the story, and we're introduced to Fantu, who is the prince of Iram, adopted by two mothers, and he's just like of the people. Like he's down there helping them because both planets they're in chaos, like starvation, and need medical supplies and all this stuff. So like he's there trying to help the poor, like get them whatever. And he sees these two ships coming through the atmosphere, and like Iram is famous for their like planet, like a city, large size scale shields, and they see Blitz crash into the shield, I think it was. But then like because like the Republic and the Jedi and Arano was like, this wasn't us, like don't fire, like they allow Ziri's ship to like go through like they open up a spot in the shield for her to like crash land on a planet so she doesn't like immediately die. Because like the captain on the Iram side was like believed, at least had good faith that like this was not a hostile act. And so she crashes in the water, and Fantu sees it, and he goes out there, swims down, dives. She's about to like be angry, like, oh, he's gonna kill me. He's like, hands up, no, I'm here to save you. So then she points to her knife. He cuts her free, brings her up to the surface, and then he's laying on the beach or whatever, and then he opens his eyes, and Ziri has another knife or whatever to his throat, like, I know who you are, don't hurt me, I'm gonna kill you even though you just saved me. And so then that's the whole political thing, like, we have your princess. Like, I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. And I'm like, I started at this point, this is gonna be a Romeo and Juliet thing, which was my opening from Romeo and Juliet. And so this was something that was kind of disappointing because I thought that the love thing was actually going to grow between them, but the whole story stayed political until the very end when Fontu says that I love you as they like part ways to like take care of each other's planets or whatever. So it's kind of weird. Like you've known each other for like 2 weeks and 3 weeks, but I don't know. Did you guys think that it was going to be a love story, or do you think that it was just going to stay political because it was happening so fast?
I kind of don't mind that the love story behind it between Ziri and Fontu develops the way that it does because it feels very realistic. Like they have a political marriage and they both have like grown up in context where like a political marriage would have been expected. Like I know that Fontu's mom is like, oh, I wanted my son to marry for love, but like realistically, they were always going to have some sort of a strategic match for him. And so I think it's kind of cool and like unique in a story that we see them just kind of accept that and like get to know each other slowly and deal with the awkwardness associated with an arranged marriage and then like, you know, start to love each other at the end. I agree with you though that it's like kind of weird when he says I love you and they've barely known each other. But whatever, like I'll buy it. They live in a different universe. Like maybe it's believable.
What was her response? It was like a Han response. Like he says, "I love
I
you."
know.
Wasn't she like good or something like that? Did she say
I
something
don't
like
remember.
that?
I literally don't. I just read it and I don't remember.
I think it was something like that. But like, so yeah, so
I think that the Romeo and Juliet romance in the story is Axel and Gela.
yes,
Like they
but they
have the
weren't.
tragic romance and like the
Yes,
slow build, like simmering under the surface. So I
Mhm.
think that that's there. It's just not where we expect it to be.
right.
I feel like the High Republic books love to put people together and they're not supposed to be together. So you like
I
think about the
agree.
other books too, like the main
Yeah.
plot are two characters that literally aren't allowed to be together, but they are, but they're not, but they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
So
Star Wars loves to do that, right?
I
That's like,
mean, I mean, true.
yeah.
The whole thing was Anakin. So I guess yeah, it's a Star Wars thing. It's this love interests that we're not supposed to get that we do, like Leia and Luke for a little bit. We weren't supposed to get that. Luckily, they came to their senses and realized they weren't supposed to do that too.
Thank goodness for that.
It only took 2 movies to figure that one out.
I don't know. I can't find the quote, but yes. So because they have the Iram government in a sense has Ziri, the princess and captain from Arano, they have leverage to like do what they want. They could make demands and stuff like that. But Arano was like, well, they have our princess. We're about to attack. So like their leader is called the Monarch, like the king or whatever you want to call him. But he goes by the Monarch. And so he's getting ready to like attack, give everything they got. They got like these drill ships and everything special drill ships to like go through the shields and stuff like that. But luckily, the queen of Iram is like, we can meet because the Republic is there with their ship and the Jedi, and they're like, hey, let's talk this through. Like we can help, we can mediate. You can meet on our ship, neutral ground, type of thing. And
And
so
doesn't I think the Republic gives them some sort of ultimatum, like we're going to impose sanctions if you guys don't actually participate in this peace process.
there was that threat of that, but can't remember the specific. But yeah, there was some sort of threat. So then both sides do meet on the Paxium with an M, to have potential peace treaty talks. And so, what do you guys think of the Chancellor Malo? Did you like him? Not like him?
I was confused because I was like, isn't the Chancellor supposed to be a girl right now? So
There's
I was
two
like,
chancellors.
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Which was I was confused at too when I started talking. I'm like, I thought the chancellor was up, but there's a supreme chancellor and then the chancellor. So the Chancellor Greylark is the supreme one, but
I think they just share. They just have a dual chancellor
I
situation.
thought she was the supreme chancellor.
I don't think so.
So I know there was like two that they were voted in as, but I thought like
But why was there two?
It's just like a different governmental structure.
I think they wanted to do that to like
Show that
one.
power is not just one person.
It's not just one
Yeah.
person, but like I also did like that like they're two very different people.
Yeah, exactly.
So like that balanced them out where, you know,
Imagine if we did that, two different presidents at the same time.
Yeah.
They'd
I
just
guess
fight the whole time and then nothing would ever happen.
it's kind of like in like parliamentary systems where you have like a sharing of power between two parties.
yeah. But yeah, so Malo, he's a Quarren, which is interesting. So he's one of the species with like the tentacle beard things from Mon Cala. Never trust a Quarren. Like that's like a thing that like we have like in the movies and shows and stuff. Like
They say that, don't they?
They say that in something, but never trust a Quarren. But like he's like the Chancellor, and he's the one he's on a ship. He goes out into the galaxy, trying to recruit people and like be mediator, and he's out there taking action. Like I like that about him. Like he's very hopeful. He's very direct. Like I thought he was a pretty smart guy. I didn't think he was like, you know, some of these like go-getters are not that great, but I felt like he was competent and knew what he was talking about. He just needed other people once in a while to say give him other options and ideas. But like, so I liked him. So he's kind of like the main person mediating everything alongside the Jedi that are there. But we get introduced to another character, Axel Greylark, who is the son of Chancellor Greylark, and he's a wild boy. He's because he wasn't just like elected, like his family wasn't elected. He seems to like become from a rich family who became politicians, and like so he's very affluent, and but he's once he became an adult and after his father dies, he kind of goes out and parties and gambles, and as the story unfolds, he's involved with crime stuff. Like, what did he call it for instead of a smuggler? He was a
oh yeah, I forget.
It was like something like a freelance cargo transporter or something like that.
Exactly.
And Gal was like, oh, so you're a smuggler type thing. It was a tomato type of moment. But so he has like a broken relationship with his mother after, you know, his father died, and you know, he's gambling down in the depths of Coruscant, and he gets in a fight, and he ends up getting arrested or captured or whatever by whatever, and he sits in jail for a few days, and then the Chancellor comes and rescues him and bails him out. But she's like, I need you to do something for me. I need you to go to the IRAM Aerono system and be my eyes and ears and report back what's going on. Like, I wish I could be there, but I can't because I'm Chancellor. Like, I got other stuff. And he's like, well, what's in it for me? He's like, she's like, well, if you do this, I will give you all your inheritance when you're done. So like riches and riches and riches, probably, I guess. And so he's like, fine, I'll do it. So he's that's how he gets introduced to this story, where he's just supposed to be the eyes and ears for his mother, and then this reports back. And so he gets entangled in this story, and he just kind of like shows up at a point where like someone's dead. He's like, what's going on, guys? But yeah, so that that's kind of like his character is introduced, like leading up to this summit of these on the Paxium. And so obviously when this summit is happening and negotiation going, like obviously there's no resolutions right away. immediately it's just like, well, you bombed us this day, and like, no, we did that because you did this. No, we did this because you did that. Like it's just like back and forth. It's like from a certain point of view thing on both sides. Where, like, no one knows who's in the wrong, who shot first. Like, it's just the conflict. Like, it's just the way it is in war. Sometimes, like, no one knows what the conflict is actually over. It just is, and so a lot of arguing and Ziri, she's the most vocal, I would say. That's why I say she's the main character, just because she's so vocal. And so she's the only one that seems like we gotta make peace. Fontu is there. He's like, yeah, we gotta make peace, but he's just kind of like, they're smiling on the side. I feel like half the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing it for like 2 weeks. Is kind of like what's going on, and drama ensues because, like we said earlier, Viceroy Pharaoh has one of the guards for Arano like make a final sacrifice for Arano, and he goes and throws himself into space to die. I'm like, okay, that was crazy. And then later on, Sagaru, who was kind of like Ziri's love interest, kind of best friend, love interest, kind of. They couldn't because they're in the middle of a war type of thing. He ends up dead inside Fontu's bed. Like, Fontu goes back to his thing after, and like there's a dead body of the enemy, and so this makes conflict. And so it's like, well, what's going on here? And so this is when Axel shows up, when Sagaru's body is found. He's like, hey guys, what's up? Oh, there's a body here, and like Mallow is like doesn't even care that he's like, oh hey, what's up, guy? Like, and this goes back to normal. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, so far going through the book, like, just negotiations are failing, people are dying. Axel shows up to report. Like, what are you guys thinking so far? Anything?
I think it's a pretty good like gathering of all the characters together. Like, I think the ultimate, marriage alliance proposal that Gala and Ziri and Fontu come up with is pretty expected. Like, but I like it. It's fun. I think I'm into all of the like politics and like intricacies of the fact that there are two chancellors and there's tensions between them, and Axel's mom is sending him to kind of like spy. I think that, yeah, it's fine. I think the best part of the book is the middle part, but the starting part is interesting.
Drew, were you at what point were you like realizing that it was hard to get through? Were you already like not about this book at this point, or were you
Yeah,
still
at this
hopeful?
point, I was already like, pretty much after the whole ship thing in the beginning, it was rough for me, which wasn't that far into the book. It was only like an hour into it, but
Right.
so I don't know. I think the like your point, Grace, like the two chancellor concept. I think I really thought that was really interesting. So I like that part. I just like, for me, I'm like, dude, can we just like finish this war or do something? Like, it was a lot of standing around pointing fingers,
Yeah.
even though people were dying, but it just didn't feel like the Jedi were doing much. To your point, like Jeremiah, like that was, you like that part that they didn't have a side; they were just there to like stand the ground and help both sides. But because of that, it made for a very slow book.
Right.
Because there wasn't like a team to root for. You're kind of just like listening to all these people talk.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard to like pick a side.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I do like, I agree with that point, but I think maybe one other thing that I do like about the start is that they do a good job of giving each character like a little spotlight for us to understand like the conflict that they're going through.
Mhm.
So we see clearly the conflict that Axel is going through with his like not dealing with his emotions and bad relationship with his mother. We see Gela trying to figure out like what her place is in the Jedi Order after her failed mission and like her anxiety about working with a team, which she ultimately has to conquer for this.
Mhm.
We see Fontu like feeling sorry that he can't help more of the people in this poor area after he was like himself came from this like poor area and was ultimately like adopted by the queens. And then we see Ziri like, I don't know, grappling with the responsibility of her brother's death and like having to take over her country and like find a path forward and lead a team. Like I don't really know what hers is, but something like that. And then we also see like Queen Adriala. She's dealing with her like secret poison thing. Chancellor Malo is like lacking in confidence. Chancellor Greylark is like spying on Chancellor Malo. Like everyone has like their little thing, and the book will eventually like kind of pay all of them off.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to the poison thing. But so while like all this stuff is happening like throughout the book, but I feel like more so towards the first half, is this Serena girl that we get introduced in the first chapter, and then like her like partner in crime, Abda. And so like it was a Gela that had like she sent something in the forest to go to the moon, and that's when they go investigate the moon, and they find that transmitter blocker thing. So like communication wasn't going well like between these two planets and stuff, and they're like, this is weird. Like who would sabotage the communications? And like so it's like, okay, so this is like what they're doing. This is going to be a major story. And then like we get introduced to like Serena, because Serena is the one that was sent to kill the queen, and because she failed, she got killed.
Or like to talk to the queen.
Okay, but I thought she was supposed to kill her because she failed the mother in quotes.
And she was supposed to get the queen to agree to produce the airborne poison, and when the queen doesn't agree, then she failed.
Right.
Because they want the queen alive to like make the poison. They wouldn't want to kill her.
But I thought because she ceased production of the poison, the mother was sent Serena to kill her. Because then she like about to kill her, and then the queen's wife shoots Serena, and she like runs off, escapes.
I don't know if that's what you remember.
I thought and I didn't even realize like
I didn't remember any of that at all.
Because like I didn't even realize till I was looking over my notes today preparing for tonight that I made the connection that the reason the queen was a failure in the mother's eyes was because she shut down the production of the poison.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even make that.
I knew that
until like I'm done with the book. I finished the book last night, and I'm going over my notes today, and I didn't even realize that was the reason. So it's like, oh,
I don't remember the killing part though.
do you remember like in the middle of the night, someone comes into the queen's room, and then they're arguing about failing the mother, and then the wife shoots her, and then the guard outside is like, "What happened?" I was like, "Oh, I was cleaning my blaster and it went off." Nonsense that we get.
Oh yeah, I remember that part.
So like first I thought that was Abda, and then I'm like, wait, I guess that wasn't Abda. It was Serena, and that's why Serena is gone for the rest of the story, because she was killed. I don't know if she was killed by the queen's wife.
No, she was killed by Abda because Abda didn't want to compete with Serena anymore. Remember, Abda like gives her some poison.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why it's so confusing. I think this happens so fast, like you don't even like realize what's going on.
Super fast, and
it was fast. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's a confusing book. I don't know why it's so confusing.
Okay, so High Republic is known to be confusing. Like
not the phase. with
The
the adult
second
novels,
book in phase 1 was so confusing to follow.
that was just because there was a
Remember that?
lot going on. Because there's so many characters. That's
Yeah.
why. But like the
And, like-
story itself was straightforward. It was the world's the fair to like
Yeah.
celebrate cultures, and then the Nihil
But it was
attack,
like hard to follow still.
because there's just so many storylines going on.
Yeah.
But like it was still understandable, and every storyline still had a payoff in that book. But like this one, it's like every storyline, it's just barely
Some
there.
of them were fillers. It almost felt like.
Right. But yes. So anyway, so who are these? The Serena and Abda. So they are part of the Path of the Open Hand, which I remember hearing that phrase before this book, and then like when we got the Gaze Electric name drop, I was like, oh, that's something with the with the Nihil that I didn't really remember, because it's described that the Path of the Open Hand are enemies of the Jedi because they think that the Jedi abuse the Force.
Mm-hmm.
But I was confused, because I think Grace, I don't know, maybe you've talked about this before, like in one of the book reviews, about how like they are not Force users, or they are Force users.
They are not Force
They're not,
users
okay.
because they don't believe in using the Force. They see it as like sacrilegious.
Okay, because I was kind of confused, like what are they actually trying to do then? 'Cause it's like if they're just non-Force users and they're just living together on a planet, serving the Mother, like what is their goal? And I'm guessing we'll see that in the next book more. And if you read all the other phase 2 stuff.
I think that their goal is to like worship the Force. You know, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around it because it's like a religious thing that doesn't exist in real life. But like
Right.
the same way that the Jedi have like a spiritual relationship to the Force,
But
they have a
don't wanna
spiritual.
use it though.
Yeah, but they don't want to use it. They want to only venerate it and like keep it separate from themselves.
Like it's almost they're not worthy enough to use it, and they think
Exactly.
that the Jedi are abusing it because they
Exactly.
are using it, but they shouldn't be using it. They should just worship it.
So
But I think what we potentially come to find out, over the course of this phase is that perhaps like this is a religious message that has been galvanized for the purpose of like power and control and is not necessary. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense, perhaps on purpose.
right. And so
Yes.
Abda is like, it's implied that she's kind of like low on the totem pole, but then the Mother is like, I want you to be one of my children, like a special level. I see potential in you, and I have a special mission for you. And I'm like, okay, then it's something to do with poison. We get into like she's given a vial of poison, and then I don't know, I get kind of confused after that about what she was trying to do. I don't know, Grace, what was, maybe you can explain it to me.
I think that the connection of this storyline to whatever's happening on Iram and Arano is a little bit unclear. My basic understanding is that because the Path of the Open Hand and the Mother, who is the leader, have this like larger, more sinister, like a militaristic ambition, they want to like wipe out the Jedi and all other Force users and be like the preeminent religious figures in the galaxy. They are in the background gathering like a military force to make that possible. And like one of the ways they are doing that is getting weapons, and one of the potential weapons is this specific poison that's available on Iram. So I think the mission is to like get access to the poison. I think the other mission is to like create unrest in the galaxy and to like get in the way of the Jedi's like being able to serve as effective peacekeepers. That's the only
Yeah, because
explanation for like some of the other weird stuff that happens in the story.
right.
And
So
I think it tracks.
So that gifted ship to Arano was gifted by the Path of the Open Hand.
I mean, was it, or was it gifted by? Yeah, it was. It must have been, right? Who else could it have been gifted by?
Because it seemed like they wanted the war to continue.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the book, when it's like after the marriage and stuff, like the mother's like, it's okay. It's fine. No big deal. I'm like, what? This whole thing was like started because you sabotaged a ship to continue the war.
Well, they want the war to continue so that the like poison production continues, so that they can get access to the poison.
They're not going to need to make the poison.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense now.
Yeah. It's like 5 steps, but I can see vaguely how they're getting there.
Right.
It's confusing. That's really confusing. But unnecessarily so.
Yeah, like
it like only makes sense to me, I think, because I read the other books. So that's very fair that you guys don't get that.
So yeah, so Abda, she's kind of doing the stuff behind the scenes during everything. And we'll get back to her later. But that being said, like we kind of glossed over and mentioned, but the Queen is also a member of the Path of the Open Hand, secretly. And because is she part of it, or she's just working?
I think that she, in like a moment of desperation, accepted the help of the mother, which is exactly like what the mother wants, you know, for people to become reliant on the Path of the Open Hand, and then kind of like got pulled into the whole Path of the Open Hand situation. But I don't think she's like a true believer. She's just been like utilizing their support.
Okay. All right. So
okay, keep going.
So back on the Paxium with the peace talks. There's this chapter where Gela is talking. The Jedi is talking to Ziri, like in Ziri's like office room or whatever, and Ziri is like going over like ancient documents and manuscripts and stuff from Arano's past and Iram's past, and it's like they even have like paper like stuff. Like you rarely see paper in Star Wars, but like they have paper, and she's going over things, and she's like, the last time we had like major lasting peace was, I think it was like 300 years ago, and it was when there was a treaty based on a marriage between both planets. And I was like, okay, this is where we're going. Somehow this marriage is going to pop up. And like literally, because like a lot of these chapters are super long, like super long, but they have like breaks in them, you know. And she brings up this idea of like in the past marriage was used, but then a break happens, and the next break is like section is her going to the peace talks again. Like, all right, I got an idea, guys. And she presents the whole idea of marriage and to bring a peace treaty, and obviously both the monarch, her father, and then the queens were like against it. And like the queen was like, oh, poor child, I'm already married and I'm old and your father is old, like this will never work. But I do appreciate the line, like her kind of like inner monologue kind of these two sides are so full of themselves that they think that they're the ones that have to fix the problem, when I'm not even suggesting them get. I'm talking about myself. I really like that. Like she had an inner monologue of like, they're not even considering what the next generation is going to, like their thoughts, because they're the ones that are going to be leading in the next X amount of years once one or both sides die. And she's like, no, I'm talking about your prince, Fontu, and me. And then crap hits the fan. People flipping tables, basically, like how they didn't flip tables, but that's kind of like how I was thinking. Like no one cared about it. The monarch, he storms out. This isn't going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And Fontu is like, oh, okay. Just him not doing anything. Yeah, oh okay. Interesting. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like he had no contest. He's like, oh, okay, a hot princess. Like, that's fine. I'll go with it. Like, I don't know. That's just how I felt from Fontu. He just wasn't like shocked by it. Like, he was like, no. Like, he's like, oh, that's an idea.
Well, it's a political idea, which is why I don't think he was like.
But still, marriage, like, it's a big deal. Like, you're gonna
have
have
some cultures.
Yeah, but this is a war between enemy planets. Like, it's not like something that was common for them to like marry people from the other planet, especially.
No, but
the last political marriage was 300 years before. Like,
that's true.
Like, if it's not part of your culture, like a political marriage or an arranged marriage that this gets thrown on you is going to be like,
it should be
you're at least going to have like a change in your facial expression. Like, Fontu, like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know.
Grace, what do you think about
What do you think about the
I mean,
marriage?
I already feel like I said what I think about this. Like, I disagree. I think that they talked about the fact that like political marriages were common in this, like, for both cultures. And I think like even if they hadn't said that, we could have assumed that like royalty were going to have to do a political marriage. So I think that his reaction is like appropriate. Like he's confused and he's upset, and there's that whole like situation about like, oh, does he give her pearls? Like, how does he respond? Where are they going to have the wedding? Like, I think they show some of the emotions.
I think what didn't surprise me about it or like shock me like it did you, Jeremiah, is that we kind of we see a little bit of this in Andor and the whole political marriage.
Mon Mothma's
daughter and her relationship. Remember, because she was forced into a marriage that she doesn't want to be in, but it was all politically based, and like clearly this is something that happens in Star Wars. So like it didn't throw me off because I'm like, oh, I feel like I've seen this before. Like it was very
it's not that I'm saying that. I'm not saying that political marriages aren't in Star Wars, but it's like marrying like a full-fledged enemy, like
but to bring them together though, potentially because of it.
No, I understand the point of it, but it's like Fontu in that scene had no like real response. Like he just sat there and was like, oh, okay. Like he didn't like have. Like everyone else in the room is like up in arms and yelling and screaming and high emotions, and he's just sitting there and barely says anything. I'm like, she just basically proposed to you, bro. Like, have emotion. Like, say something. Like, I don't know. It was just kind of like
maybe it happens to him a lot.
Not again.
Oh man,
because like I'm sure, like I assume that like it was common on the IRAM side to do political marriages, like just within their politics, because the reason why the queen like expressed like, no, I want my son to marry for love. I don't want him to have. So it was probably common on the IRAM side, but like I said, I just don't think he had much of a reaction to it.
Yeah.
And maybe the reason he didn't have a reaction to it is because he didn't have enough sleep the night before. And he didn't have enough pep in his step because he didn't have his morning coffee yet.
Well, that's a mistake, right, Grace?
A huge mistake. Who gets by without their morning coffee? Not me.
Not me either.
Well, I don't drink coffee, so I do get
Jeremiah,
that's crazy.
But
you don't drink coffee?
I don't drink caffeine.
He hasn't had caffeine in like 15 years.
It'll be 7 years this December. But anyway, if you're having in the middle of a war conflict between two planets and the enemy has given you a marriage proposal and you don't have a lot of emotion, maybe you should have some caffeine. And coincidentally, our sponsor today is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So let's take a little commercial break and take a listen to a little deal for you.
Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor of today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that whether you live in the Twin Cities or not, you can get their coffee beans delivered straight to your door by ordering them online. They even have a subscription service that ensures you never run out of amazing coffee. If you've been looking for some new coffee to try or a way to elevate your normal coffee routine, now's your chance. Head over to wesleyandrews.cc, use the code Empire Radio, that's with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, to get 15% off your first purchase of any bags of coffee or a coffee subscription. I can't think of a better deal. Get 15% off some great coffee, support a small business, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
All right. Yes. So marriage proposal. Eventually things calm down a little bit, and they all go back. Both sides go to Arano to like announce, "Hey, we're engaged. We're at peace," type of thing. And this was kind of where it got a little confusing because like people are like, some people are upset or are like the children of Arano or whatever. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Like they're kind of like the extremists on Arano of like Arano first, like put up a wall type of thing. Like they're the ones trying to like keep the line pure. They're the ones like, we're not going to intermarry. We're going to be more extreme to like fight. We're really to like decimate the Iron people type of thing. So it's kind of like where we see them a little bit, and we find out that Viceroy Farrell and his son Rev Farrell are kind of part of this revolution, I guess you could say. But like, you know, you got the two, you got Sagaru that was killed on the ship, and then the other guy that was thrown out into space. And then there's like the stuff on the moon with the transmitter, like blocking things. And they're like, something's going on. Conflict is following the people. So if someone's trying to kill the princess or something, or the prince or whatever, if we go to the desert, then the conflict would follow us and be easier to figure out what's going on, or something like that. And so,
Yeah.
like, so then,
I think it's also that they want to like publicize the fact that they're getting married. They want to like take the show on the road and be like, look, this is so sweet.
that's
Like
like
the war's over. It's so sweet.
like that's what I thought too, but it's like they're going in the middle of the desert with all these like little towns, and like I'm like, I don't feel like these people really care. Like they care, but like if you're doing this, like it kind of reminded me of like Hunger Games Part 2, when like Katniss and Peeta go on from each district, like to district, like saying, "Hey, congratulations! Like we did it, guys!" Like, but like if you're in the middle of the desert where there's barely any people and you're going to these like terrible towns, like you're not really like preaching to the masses, like, or proclaiming to the masses of peace. Really, I think. I don't know. It's just kind of weird, especially when it's just the four of them. No one else.
I think it's weird that it's just the four of them. I agree with you on that. I think that the reason they go to the small towns is that there's like, those are the people that are joining the extremists. So they need to like win the people over one by one. But
It's
like whatever. I take your point.
the votes that the swing states.
The
you know?
swing
Swing
states.
states.
Yeah. Like they gotta go and do all the little stuff.
Yeah, what is it called? Canvassing, right?
Yeah.
Knocking on doors.
That's
Yeah.
what it felt like. I was like,
That's
oh,
so
okay.
funny.
Yeah. So,
They're trying to win the hearts of all the people.
yeah. So that's kind of like what they're doing when they get in conflict, and we'll go over a little bit more of that. But like, we should probably talk about Gela and Axel specifically. So we find out that earlier in the book that Axel blames the Jedi for the death of his father, which was basically his father was part of like
There
some. He was like doing negotiating talks or something with some political thing going on.
Yeah.
There was an attack. He was in the rubble, and the Jedi was like, "We have to go," and took Axel away when he could have maybe like dug through the rubble to try and save his father.
Yeah.
And so like at first he blamed his mother for like sending his father there or whatever it was. But then he's like, no, it was a Jedi. And so he has this hate for the Jedi. And so he has like this hidden hate towards Gela, where he's always like giving her jabs and like he's just a very like he's like if Cad Bane was more elegant and more like, you know what I mean? Like Cad Bane always like insults people, but like he's like kind of mean and ruthless. But actually, he's more elegant. He's more like he takes jabs at people, but he's kind of like more sarcastic and more like into himself. Like he's the best thing since
sliced bread.
I was trying to think of a Star Wars food since
sliced blue milk.
Since blue milk. And so he's like, so him and Gela are always kind of like going back at each other and like making comments, but like slowly you see Axel like being okay with Gela, and then Gela's just always trying to figure him out but can't, because he's always like, he's able to like hide his emotions, like block himself off to the Force almost, like so she can't read him. Like that's weird. Something's different about him, and I didn't know. Cause like what's he doing? Like he's supposed to report back to his mother, and we see him like do it a couple times in secret, but like he's just kind of there watching everything. And I don't know. And eventually we find out that he's a member of the Path of the Open Hand. And so like I was kind of like, are they like, is the Path of the Open Hand? Do they use the Force in any way? Because I was like, maybe that's why he can cut himself off so that Gela can't read his emotions, because if he's using the Force, maybe he knows how to like cut that off. But Grace said that they're not. So I was like, why is he able to like stop the Jedis from like sensing his true emotions and intentions and stuff? I don't know. But I don't know, Grace, what do you have to say about their relationship?
It's an interesting point about how he couldn't keep his emotions from Gela. My explanation is going to be that like Jedi can only get a good read on people who are weak-minded, and he's not weak-minded, and he's like a politician's child, so he's been trained in high society to like really like keep a careful control over himself and present a certain image to the world. That's my best explanation for you. I don't think there's anything else there. Like he doesn't have the Force.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, but I love Axel and Gela. I think it's such an intriguing dynamic. I think that like his character is fun and kind of like toxic and draws you in with the energy and makes you kind of dislike him, but also like curious to know more about him. And I think Gela like using him to kind of process her own uncertainty and figure out her own place in the galaxy is interesting. And I think the like forbidden Jedi non-Jedi romance that's implied between them is fun, because this time it's like a girl Jedi and like a guy in high society. It's kind of like the Anakin and Padme thing switched.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. I didn't think of it that way. But like the one thing, like it's, you know, when it sets up earlier in the book when he's like, he hates the Jedi because he blames the Jedi for the death of his father, that never really like came up again, like that hate, really. Like, yeah, he takes like jabs and makes comments and like philosophical arguments, but like I thought at some point he was going to like straight up like fight like Gilla, because like it says like he's like a good fighter, like he's good at handling a blaster and fighting and stuff like that, and he's gotten out of crazy situations and stuff. So it's like I thought there was gonna be a bigger conflict where he was gonna like we'd get him. He does betray her.
Yeah, I mean, he's like working for the path of the open hand.
But like it never like comes to fruition of like him really fully like stabbing her in the back. Like when they go on that side mission, you kind of get that, but he's like, I gotta go back for her type of thing. Like,
because he's conflicted. He likes her.
Well, I get that, but like it painted him at the beginning that he was going to like really be anti-Jedi. Like he was going to cause
a bigger issue.
Cause a bigger issue concerning the Jedi, and he never did. I don't know. That was me. Okay, moving on.
I mean, I disagree. So
okay, but yes, so they're on this sail barge, going through the desert, going from town to town, trying to be like, hey, we're getting married, y'all. And the first one they get to, like one of the guys, workers or whatever, is like challenges Ziri to a duel, which is part of their culture. And like if she loses, like he becomes heir or something like that.
Yeah, crazy.
And so they're
at first when I like read that quick, I'm like, wait, did she get married? He's gonna marry him now.
Oh,
like,
that one kind of crazy.
It's heir, and then it's like, oh yeah, now he has to marry.
But it's like a best of 5, I guess, and it gets tied 2-2, and then Ziri wins. And then the guy's about to get a cheap shot, and who kills him or shoots him?
Axel.
Is it Axel
right?
that
Yep.
saves? And so it's like, oh, okay. He's kind of like a weasel, but now he's like doing something good, I guess. So, okay. And then they go to the next town, and the next town, and like the big one is like they get there, and it's like a compound was taken over by Irem soldiers type of thing.
Yeah, I don't think it like super matters.
Right. And so, because it's like, well, why are there Irem soldiers on this? Oh, yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, no. So I'm trying. I don't know. I'm confused. Like, what happens?
Yeah,
is it the
like
same thing?
there is like an Irami ship crashed, and then there's like this like standoff underground between this like surviving group of Iram soldiers and some Arano soldiers.
But is that before or after the kidnapping of Ziri? Is that before? When the Viceroy, the Pharaohs?
I don't remember. Again, I don't really think it matters because
Okay.
none of it really, like none of that plot line really matters in the end.
Okay. So we'll do the kidnapping one first, then I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Because so like the Iron soldiers like demand Ziri to like turn herself in so they can negotiate or something, and like she goes in and they like close the door, and then like Axel and Gala are like, oh crap, and they try to run in, and the ship takes off, and so she's taken by these Irem soldiers. But then they quickly realize or something that they were actually Arano, because they made a comment about the moon, and the 2 planets call the moon something different, and the Arano soldiers who were trying to be Irem called it by the Arano term. And like I noticed it right away, like, oh wait, maybe I'm misremembering. But then Gela was like, no, they said the wrong term.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they get on another ship or whatever, right? And then or Gela jump on the ship on the outside before it takes off.
I think so.
Something like that. Then they get inside and Rev Farrell is on there, the son of Viceroy Farrell, and they kind of like capture him, kind of, but then like he blows a hole in the wall and goes through the hole and like parachutes away or whatever, and then the four of them are all on the ship that's about to crash, and then there's only 3 parachutes, and Gela is basically like, I'll be fine. You guys go. So they jump, and then like we don't see what happens. Like that's the one thing. Like we don't see any of them on their descent back to the planet. Like they just all wake up, or we get introduced to a person coming into the town that like, oh, you're still alive. Oh, perfect. Like I was like, that was like a lot of stuff that just happened. I know it's like supposed to add to the suspense of like what happened and like, oh, these 2 are here, but then well, where's these other ones? Are they still alive? And it's kind of like add suspense.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like, it wasn't like a big deal when they got back to like they found each other. Or it was just they're just okay, we're back together, team.
Hmm.
And Axel was
Yeah.
the last one to show up, which I thought was a little sus, as the kids would say.
Kids are not saying that.
They don't say sus anymore. That was like 6 months ago. They were saying it, right?
I don't think they're saying
maybe
it
like
anymore.
a year or 2.
Yeah.
Oh, huh. Well, that's old man Jeremiah for you, I guess. And so, yeah, that happened. Then there was this other conflict where like 2 warring parties are crashed, but they're like kind of trapped underground. The ships or whatever are like into the ground, and then Fontu falls through a hole that opens up. And they're like, oh no, what happened? Is he alive? I don't know what's going on. And then they all descend down, and there's like 2 parties fighting underground. Gela goes down there and is like jumping on the little spikes and caves and like fighting or whatever. And Ziri and Fontu are trying to like convince everyone that the war is over, and like, we don't believe you. You're lying. You're not the real Ziri. And I was like, oh gosh. And it's this conflict underground. There's a war going on. And then they finally kind of like catch on, and they all kind of like, okay, we believe you now. But like Fontu is still like lost in these caves. But like he goes into a cave that's all covered in scorpions, filled with scorpions from Arano, which are not like poisonous or dangerous, but like he walks in and they just like cover him. And then he finds his way back to the rest of the group, and he's covered in them, and then they just all come off. I'm like, what just happened? Like, I don't know. It was like they're just doing stuff in the desert, and I don't really understand why. I don't know. Grace, help me like this better. Am I missing something or what?
I think you guys are beyond liking it. That's okay.
I at least
That's
want to
okay.
understand it better. Like, you're helping me understand some points, but like, is there anything specific that stands out about this? Or is it just character building, like shared trauma where they can build camaraderie?
I think I think that like the larger conflict is whatever. It's like the terrorist faction of the Children of Arano and IRAM, and like years of conflict between these 2 countries. I don't think any of that is that deep or that interesting. I think what is more interesting is to think about like
the development of the relationships between both characters and trying to unite 2 planets through these 2 characters.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, like,
and Jeremiah, you don't like love stories.
It's not even a love story. That's the problem. Like, it's a political thing, which like I'm fine with, but like,
yeah, but they become
I actually
story,
wanted, like I said earlier, I thought that they were going to bring like a love aspect to it, where they actually did fall in love with each other, where it was like evident that they were falling in love with each other. But like, it didn't happen really. It was just like at the end, Fontu's like,
he started to love her.
Yeah, at the very end. But like, I thought it was them actually going to like fall in love, and then like they actually.
You wanted more out of it.
Like, I thought, okay, it's a political marriage, but then they actually fall in love, and they actually get married because they're in love, and the political thing was just like the bonus on, like, the cherry on top, like, to end the war. Like, I thought it was going to switch, right? Go from a strictly political to save the worlds, to them actually falling in love, and then it's their love for each other that saves their people. Like, I thought I would have been fine with that. Like,
I think it's more or less that they love their people, and that's why.
well, yeah, that's what the political aspect is.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I said, I don't like meaningless love stories and storytelling.
Like
this would have been a meaningful love story that actually mattered, and I would have been fine with it. But it never happened. So, like, I was excited for love finally, and then they didn't give it to me. I'm like,
you're reading the wrong book.
All right. I think we should continue to just get through this plot because it's going slowly. We still have a lot to cover.
all right, so they plan the wedding. Whatever happens. Why did they get called back to the main city?
Because there's been like too many attacks, and I think they like kind of finished what they needed to do. Oh, and there's some discovery that they make that's important. I think they discover that Rev Farrell is behind all of the issues that they've been
because
facing,
they found
oh no,
the dirt from Arano like in the device that there's that. But somehow, however, they get called back, and then they decide to have the wedding on Irem, and everyone from the galaxy, all the big famous people and politicians are getting invited to this wedding to be like a spectacle of like what peace can be. Like, Chancellor Malo's like, this is my dream. This is like the best thing ever. Like, this is gonna be kind of like the Starlight Beacon was supposed to be hope for the galaxy. Like 150 years later, on the same planet that gets destroyed, and like here, like Irem and Arano are supposed to be like a beacon of hope for the galaxy as well. Like, it's kind of interesting that they did that parallel a little bit. And so, a little quick side note: like, they need to get evidence on Viceroy Farrell, and Axel's like, I know who we can go to get some evidence. So him and Gela, they go off to this like random like space station on an asteroid or something. I don't know. They're like in the middle of nowhere, not on a planet, and it's basically the Mos Eisley of like a random spot where it's like a bunch of criminals and like gambling and partying and like fighting and just whatever. And this lady that like runs the fighting thing is there, and Axel's like, all right, she's my contact to like get some information. And she's like, well, I don't give information for free. And Axel pushes Gela into the fighting ring, and she has to fight someone. I'm like, what is going on? And they're like, her enemy comes out and puts a double-bladed lightsaber. I'm like, oh, another Jedi. Oh, this is gonna be so cool. And then it's not a real Jedi. It's just a guy that's playing a part. He's still a good fighter. Like, he's like has 99 wins. He's going for his 100th. And Gela's like, oh, you're not actually a Jedi. Takes the saber. But then like something happens and they fall, and they both like fall and lose or whatever. And Axel gets the information from this lady. And so Gela, she's captured, and Axel's like, I gotta go, bye. And then he feels bad and goes and rescues Gela. And I'm like, oh, Axel has a little soft spot. And it's like, Grace, is this your favorite like change in Axel's heart to like be a good guy or what?
I like it when they dance.
Oh, later on, yeah, they do dance.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yep. And so they that's a little side. So they get the information to like get the evidence to say that Viceroy Farrell was behind stuff, whatever, the terrorism and stuff, and get him in jail, whatever. And so, but what happened was this lady that gave the information puts out a bounty on Axel. And so all the bounty hunters in the galaxy are basically going to come for him. And we'll talk about that later. So they got the wedding planned, and everyone's there, and it's like the night before, early before wedding, and Axel is, the the rehearsal dinner is where there's like a dance, and everyone's dancing, and Axel's like, "Hey, Gela, you want to dance?" And Gela's like, "No, I'm a Jedi. I don't do this kind of thing." And he's like, "Too bad you're dancing." And so then they dance, and it was kind of like a very like quick comment, but like it was basically Gela felt like I've never been embraced like this kind of type of thing. Very like a romantic thing in that moment. Um,
And I think at some point before that, they have a conversation where like he tells her why he has this aversion to Jedi.
does he explain
Yeah.
that? About he tells a story about his father.
Yeah, to Gala, yeah.
Which makes this scene more impactful because he's fully come around to her, essentially, to the point where he's willing to dance with her.
Exactly.
I like this part. You're
That's
the
nice.
hater.
No, I'm not. I don't hate it. It's just like okay, like I expected it to happen when it was a dance. Like I knew that okay, Axel's gonna ask her to dance. Like it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But then like his mother's there, and like oh my mother's here, I'm leaving type of thing. He goes back to his room. And guess who's there? Viceroy Pharaoh, who got broken out of prison. And he's like, I'm going to kill you, Axel. You lie. You got false information, blah, blah, blah. And then Axel stabs Viceroy and like, oh, crap. I got to go. But he puts his like comm thing like in his room or something like that and leaves it. I'm like, okay. And so then he like runs and escapes, and then they find the body. And then Gela and Enya, who's like a Padawan to one of the other Jedi Masters, they are like leading the way to try and find him. And this is like the next morning or a few hours later. But then like while they're searching, the wedding is trying to get going. They're trying to get this going, get married because there's a big storm outside, like the big shield around the city. There's a big giant hurricane storm. They're trying to get married, but then there's like a citywide search for Axel. And then while they're looking for Axel, like these people over here there's a lot of extra ships. They don't look like they're dressed for a wedding. Then you have like all these bounty hunters looking for Axel. I'm like, what is going on? And they like steal some speeders, like Gela and Enya steal some speeders to get back to like the palace. So they're like, we got another problem. And so then like while the wedding is trying to go, the whole palace is getting attacked by bounty hunters. I'm like, all right, what is going on? Like this is like crazy. Like, why is this even here? Like, I don't know why this was in the story. Like, it doesn't do anything for the story. I felt like it's kind of cool, like description of what's going on, because we see like a bunch of there's like 20 Jedi there. They're like fighting them off, and there's some cool stuff that they're doing. Like the one master like connects them all, kind of like Avar Chris could do. Like, oh dang, Avar Chris isn't the only one that can like connect Jedi to like work, they sync each other, and so they're fighting, and then the wedding's happening, and I liked how they like both walk to like meet each other. It's not just like how in our tradition, like the man is at the front and the woman goes up. Like they come together, which I think is a cool way to do a wedding. But then like Gela tracks down Axel, and he's like in one of like the shield generator towers with the poison. Oh, there's the whole poison thing too that we kind of skipped over, but who cares? The queen made poison to like kill Arano.
Yeah.
And Fontu discovered it, but she shut it down when the peace talk started. But then Axel is connected with the path of the open hand. So he's like, what am I supposed to do with this poison when I know the mother wants this? And so he's in the tower, and he's like, I'm going to blow the shields that will destroy the poison, but it will also fake my death. Like, I think there's some easier way to do this, but okay. And Gela's like, no, don't, you can't, no, come with me, blah, blah, blah. Like, we can figure this out together, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, guess what? There's some other bombs at the other shield generators. Boom, boom. So those go. And like, Chancellor Mallow is like, all right, we're making this go fast. Here's some quick lines. Repeat after me. Then they're married. And then like, remember this, the Jedi are fighting off bounty hunters. The shield's coming down. So the giant storm's coming at them. then the tower that Gela and Axel are in is starting to collapse, and they're both holding up the rubble. And this was another thing where like it kind of just glossed over, like the building collapsed and they're just both on the ground. Like it just the next, it's like they're struggling, and then the next line is they're just laying there. Oh, okay. And we think, okay, that's everything. Nope, Rev Pharaoh is like, I'm getting the drill ships from Arano, and I'm attacking Irem right now. We're doing this. Like, YOLO. Like, he's just going at it.
As a kid would
And
say.
Ziri is at the end of the wedding. He's like, sorry, babe. I know we just married, but, like, I got to go help my people. I'm jumping in some starships. So she's, like, flying in Irem starships. And Ponchu's like, I guess I'll help the people down here on the ground.
Stop.
Yep.
Pontu is sweet. He's just more docile. That's okay.
That
He's a softie.
you can be
Yeah.
soft. You can be a nice guy, but at least have like a personality. I don't know.
Okay, let's get to the voicemails.
Sorry. And so then it's like Rev Pharaoh versus Ziri in this outer space. Like he's about to attack, and then she like starts talking crap, and it gets in his head. But she's on the comms, like all the like her soldiers that are hearing this, like, oh wait, we don't want to fight at too. And then she pulls a How to Train the Dragon ending, where she taunts him and he chases after her, and then they break through the clouds. He's too late, and he hits and crashes because the Irem ships can go from land or air to the water.
Oh,
But then the Arano ships can't, so he crashes and dies. And then Axel gets arrested. And Gela's like, I'm going to be a Wayseeker because screw the Jedi Council. I want to do my own thing. Axel goes to prison. He's in the prison barge. And then he gets a secret message. The mother, I'm still waiting for you, son. Like, I still got plans for you. And that's it.
Yay.
And I would
Impressive
say
summary.
I would say that they would live happily ever after, but there's a second book. So I don't know how that's going to play out. But all the main characters are alive. There's peace. But then the path of the open hand is looming in the distance.
So at some point, the path of the open hand becomes
The Nihil.
the Nihil.
Yeah.
That's intriguing to me.
So then I'm assuming the mother is a Ro.
No.
Oh.
But Marcian Ro's like great grandmother, Marta Ro, is a member of the Path of the Open Hand.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, and
Okay, so that's
we
the
get
connection.
her in that last book.
That we read, yeah. Like the ghost
Yeah,
of her.
Yeah, the
exactly.
ghost of her.
Oh,
So
okay.
the like Path of Deceit and the other young adult novel of Phase 2 are both about Marta Ro.
Yes, you were saying that.
Yeah.
See, that's pretty cool. Because then that would make more thickness to that last book too.
All right, cool. Well, finally, out of how many Arano Scorpions out of 10 would you give this book? Drew?
I don't know, like a 7.
7? Oh, dang.
Like I
Grace?
didn't not like it. It was just kind of hard to get through. But there's other. The second High Republic book was just as hard to get through for me too. So
Oh, well, but I think I would give it a 7, and I feel like I'm more positive than you.
Oh,
so maybe
dang.
I'll give it an 8. Like, it's a good book. I like the characters. I think some of the plot points don't make sense, so that's fine. I'll give it an
yeah,
Well, then I have to give it
8. You have to give it like a 2.
a 6 or something. I don't know.
Way lower.
It had so many like things building up to, and then it just kind of let me down on so many things
Yeah.
and stuff. But
I really liked that. The relationship, like that, the marriage thing. I actually really liked it, and I thought it was very intriguing. And it's like a way. It kind of reminded me of Dune a little bit too. Like it has that.
I actually saw that in one of the 1-star reviews on thing that they just a copy of Dune, and I'm like,
Well,
I
Star
didn't-
Wars is a copy of Dune, if you really think about it. So
there's just a desert planet in space, and Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could parallel.
And like a chosen one.
And a chosen
But that's
one
everything,
and
though. There's a chosen one and
space
everything, though.
Spice.
Yeah. But yeah, like I don't know, like it did have a Dune-ish feeling when it came to that kind of thing, but like not the same, obviously. But also, like I don't know, I didn't mind it as much. It was just like I said, it was just kind of harder to get through for me personally, but it didn't make it a bad book.
Right.
So,
all right, cool. Well, we'll probably do the next book end of January after Skeleton Crew.
I feel like maybe you guys should consider not reading the second book. I'm worried you're not going to like it more.
Nah, we'll do it.
Encouraging.
We gotta finish the.
We gotta finish the story and figure out.
Yeah, we don't like having like things that don't get complete, so we'll do it. I'm still excited to read it because I'm hoping. I have hope that it's better than the first one.
Okay.
Yep. All right, cool. Well, let's transition over to everyone's favorite time of every episode, voicemail time.
It's voicemail time.
All right. Well, we have 3 voicemails tonight, and we did get some that came late when we were setting up, and I did not add those, so they'll come up next episode. So don't worry, we didn't miss them. But we got 2 from Darth Fart. Nice name. And then we got a special one at the end. So first one, follow up to a previous voicemail where he said he goes back and listens to old episodes over and over again. And we asked, well, what do you go back and listen to? Well, he answers that question here. So let's take a listen.
Hey, Empire Radio. This is Darth Fart. You guys had asked me what episodes I go back and listen to. I really go back and listen to anything you guys put out. I just go to work and throw on a podcast, and oftentimes it is you guys. But a lot of the episodes that I really like, no pressure, but the Bad Batch fan fictions, Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm.
Those are amazing, and I still can't believe how many similarities there are between your fan fiction and the actual show. But some of the other episodes I really enjoy are any of the E with Andrew episodes. And I also really enjoyed the Imperial Coliseum episodes you guys did. And the AI Dungeon episodes. Those are really fun. But in general, I just go back. I listen to you guys at work all the time. I just throw on a podcast and listen to anything. But anyway, may the force be with you guys. Bye.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you. Those are some definitely good episodes. And more people are telling me to finish my Bad Batch fan fiction. And I feel really bad, but like I just don't know how to finish the story. But I got ideas. But was the last couple episodes ago, Drew is like, you got to team up with Lucy to finish up the story. Maybe.
Oh.
It'll be a lot of fun. And then Imperial Coliseum, we should be cool to do those again where we did like characters fighting against each other in a Coliseum fight, like who would win type of thing.
That's fun, yeah.
And then EU with Andrew, classic. Get that EU fix. All right, well, next up again, Darth Fart. He has a question for us, so let's take a listen.
Hey, Empire Radio. Darth Fart here with a question. I was wondering what alien species from Star Wars you would like to be and why. I would be a Togrutan because, they look pretty cool. Ahsoka's Togrutan. And based on the show Tales of the Jedi, their lifestyle seems pretty cool, pretty peaceful, chill, wholesome. So, yeah, I think I'd like to be Togrutan. But what would you guys like to be? May the Force be with you. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Awesome. I don't know if we've ever... I'm sure we've been asked this before, but...
I don't think so.
If it has been, it's been a while because I don't remember in recent memory. But a species that you would want to be. So not necessarily your favorite species, because a favorite species could be like rough. But any initial thoughts, guys?
My first instinct is that I would want to be Miri Allen, maybe for similar reasons to him with like the Togruta. It seems like the Murialans are like very spiritual, connected to nature, into healing and meditation. Like I think those are all very nice values that
Where
would
do we
be.
see that? Like, how do we get that?
Where am I drawing that from? I don't feel like I just
I
made
don't
it
know.
up.
Probably a comic or something.
I'm not too sure, Jeremiah.
I don't
That's
know.
really
I don't-
embarrassing. Like
Sorry
maybe
to call you out.
Wikipedia.
We believe you.
No, I mean it's like the fact that Barris and Luminara have like those like special outfits, and like we see Barris with her little like prayer thing, and I definitely just like did a deep dive into this at some point, so that's where the information is coming from, because I used to be really intrigued by their outfits, and I looked up why they dressed like that, and it's because Murielans have this special like spiritual connection thing.
Sounds like an EU thing. I don't know. But
And
other than Murialans, anything else, Grace, that stick out to you?
you guys pick. I can't think of any others.
I think a classic one is just Twi'leks, because they're basically the same. But like male Twi'leks have those big forehead bulges, which are kind of, I don't know.
Unattractive.
Yeah, because in your, I feel like it would be like sticking out and you could like see it, like, and that just annoy me. But I guess if you're born with
You're
it, you
used
grow up
to
with
it,
it,
though.
you don't realize it.
I think Maul or Thrawn species would be
A
sweet.
chiss.
A chiss. Like
Yeah,
being
that's
blue
a good
with
one.
like it looks cool. Same with like Cat Bane. What is Cat Bane species?
He's a Duros.
I like the Pantoran people too. It's another
Ooh.
good blue
I like
one with
the
like the
Pantorans
pretty.
are good.
I love the yellow and the blue together.
Yeah. Are the
Maul
Pantorans
species is cool,
Zabrak?
but they're kind of
Mhm.
aggressive.
But
Their
for the,
culture is cool though.
for the Pantorans, are they yellow tattoos, or is that just like natural?
They're
like
tattoos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pantoran would be cool. I always liked them in the animated shows and stuff.
Be a
There's
hut?
a
No, I don't want
Pantoran
to be
A
a hut.
hut? that'd be terrible.
That'd be
A hut.
awful. It's straight up
Really
awful.
bad.
There's nothing I would want to be less than a hut.
All right.
Like, yeah, I think like Maul species or Thrawn.
Yeah,
They
cool.
look cool.
All right, well, we have our last one, and this is a special one because I looked it up, and we haven't heard from this individual since last December.
Ooh.
Whoa.
An OG, one of our favorite Canadians, and one of the stars from the voicemail cinematic universe, Brady. So let's take
It's
a
been a hot
listen.
minute.
Hey there, Empire Radio. It is a familiar face who you haven't heard from in a while, but I am doing well, and I just wanted to update you and say that I'm still around, and you guys are still my favorite Star Wars podcast.
Heck
It's Brady,
yeah.
and I just wanted to say hi. I've been very busy recently with school, and I have a leadership position this semester, which takes up a lot of time, so that's been crazy. I'm on the Taekwondo team, so I've been competing and training a lot. That's been wild. I was in Toronto last weekend for a competition. It was pretty fun. Then also Bantha Stew. Ooh, still making videos there, having a great time. We hit 10K subscribers over the summer, and we are continuing to grow, which is awesome. But that's not what I came here to talk about. I had a question for each and every one of you, and I want to know what you think. So, here's my question. If you could choose which Star Wars character, other than Anakin Skywalker and all of the established racers, would you like to see compete in a pod race? And who do you think would win in a pod race between Darth Sidious and Boss Nass? Thank you all for your time, and I hope that each and every one of you has an absolutely bantatacular rest of your day. Cheers, folks, and thanks for listening to my voicemail.
All right, thank you, Brady. It's great to hear from you.
What are we doing wrong,
I
bro?
don't know.
You need to help us.
They got really good thumbnails on that channel. Like,
Yeah, you need.
they're amazing thumbnails. But congratulations on 10,000 subs.
that's
That's
dope.
cool. Give us a shout out.
Please.
It's cool that you're doing. Seems like you're being really busy and successful in college.
Yeah,
and
I've been seeing a lot of his posts on Instagram.
Yep.
In
And
his
so that's
Canadian military uniform.
cool. Yep.
Whoa.
Yep. And he's always like doing some gym pics. He's getting buff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at him from a couple years ago when he first started
Yeah.
listening to us, he's like this skinny guy, and now he's like buff. But 2 questions that he had: who would we want to see do a pod race, but not like the already established pod racers or Anakin? So like, who would be a cool racer? I feel like Yoda would be kind of cool, just because like I feel like he would be like episode 5 Yoda. Like he'd be like he'd be like throw the banana, like Mario Kart type of thing. Like he'd do something to like make people spin out but like not get hurt or something. Like
The cuckoo Yoda.
Yeah, he'd be kind of crazy.
That's a good one. That's funny and unexpected because it's also like not in character for Yoda to do pod racing.
Right. He would be cool. We don't necessarily have to say force sensitive. We could just assume that they could compete, so we could do like Rex or something, like a clone would be cool.
Yeah. I think for me, I would love to see Thrawn.
Because he'd analyze. He'd wait. It'd be three loops, but he'd like wait to watch the first 2 loops, and then somehow he'd win. Lap them all before everyone. He would do that. Yeah. That'd be kind of funny.
Him would be fun, and then I think Ahsoka would be actually really cool too to see.
I was thinking Ahsoka. I agree. I mean, she'd be good at it too because of the Force.
Mm-hmm. And she would like do it without actually hurting anyone.
Yep. Wrecker from Bad Batch would be kind of cool. He'd love to like just crash and
just blow things up, though.
Blow things up, like blow up like a canopy of like a tunnel or something to like stop
everyone.
He'd do that. But Brady also asked, who do we want to win in a race between Palpatine and Boss Nass? Boss Nass is his favorite Star Wars character. And
really?
he does a great Boss Nass impression.
I'm surprised he didn't do that. I was kind of mad.
Because that's one of his characters in the VCU is Boss Nass. Grace, have you watched it yet?
The VCU, no.
Boss Nass, boss.
Boss Nass, boss is in it too.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He does like 5 different characters. He does Boss Nass is boss. He does the 17th brother. He does
the 17th brother.
Yeah, Grace, you gotta watch it.
And then Valen Doss and Palpatine. Like he has an amazing.
Oh wow!
Like
the next to Mark Thompson, it sounds like.
Yeah, his Palpatine impression is like the Lego Star Wars Palpatine.
Did he used to call in as Palpatine?
Yeah, like that's how all of his
Nass. Yeah,
super.
He used to just call in and leave voicemails.
I think Boss Nass would win somehow. He'd win. He'd slobber over. He'd do his slobber garble thing, and it would.
Palpatine would be too like. He'd get frustrated about something and then like not focus the right way, or he would be trying to analyze it too much and then lose. It's kind of one of those things where it's like what's like the tortoise and the hare. Like he'd be so ahead and like focused, and like he would feel like he's gonna win it all, and then slowly Boss Nass would come around the corner and win somehow. I could totally see that.
Or Palpatine would get so like arrogant that like he'd use his Force lightning to like turbocharge his thing. He'd be like, unlimited power, and then like blow its engines, and then Boss Nass would
something like that.
Alrighty. Any more thoughts, guys?
No, that was great.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Darth, Fart, and Brady. It's good to hear from you guys. But that's all we have planned for tonight. And so let us know in the comments or something what you thought about this book if you read it. We'd love to hear from you. And let us know. We got other books on the future. We got the Mace Windu book next month. We're going to be doing that. Just came out. I have it right here, ready to go. So that's ready to go.
So I haven't read that.
Too.
It just came out a couple weeks ago. And it takes place just after episode 1. So Qui-Gon Jinn said after his death, he had a special message for Mace Windu to go on one last mission for him. And so that's kind of like the story that I guess is a little blurb. So we're excited for that. And then we got some other things planned. Comics with Grace coming up next month. Then we got like 7 weeks of Skeleton Crew.
Wow, that's crazy. So soon.
Yep. And so we're excited.
I'm excited.
Yep. But if you want to get connected with us in any way, shape, or form, go in the description below, click the links.co/Empire, link spelled 2 I's, click that landing page for everything. So you can also send in a voicemail because there's a link in there for that. Go click on that, send us a voicemail. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Join the Discord. There's a fan email if you need to email us about anything. And also needlesslynerdy.com, which is an entertainment network that we're a part of. So go check that out for some other nerdy content. All right. Anything else, guys?
No.
All right. You've been listening to another booktastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And I'm Grace.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.